The archive opens. Shelf 31. In the archive, this is filed as freight. The humans called freight any cargo moved by vehicle across distance. Goods that were needed somewhere else, loaded at one point, unloaded at another. A transfer of weight from where it was to where it was required. The archive has catalogued the global freight network as it existed at the time of the last human operational log. This includes roads, air corridors, shipping lanes, and rail. The archive's attention today is on rail. At the time of the archive's most recent transit survey, 23 trains were in motion on their scheduled routes, automated, running against loaded timetables, carrying cargo to receiving stations. The archive has noted the cargo on these trains was filed for human recipients. The receiving stations are staffed in the system as operational. Neither the recipients nor the staff are present. The trains do not know this. The archive will now open the shelf. 23 trains. The archive will visit 18. Shelf 31. The humans called this freight. Entry 1. Entry 1. The train departed Dodge City, Kansas at 04:17. Loaded 104 covered hopper cars, carrying winter wheat. The archive holds the train's manifest. The wheat was stored at the Dodge City elevator over the winter. It was due at a milling facility in Hutchinson. The manifest lists a receiving contact, a mill superintendent. The archive has cross-referenced the name. The archive will not record it here. The locomotive is a BNSF-class locomotive, number 9023. Its onboard systems log speed, fuel level, track condition, and brake pressure every 4 seconds. The archive receives every log. At 4:17, the fuel reserve was at 71%. The archive calculates sufficient for this journey and for 3 additional return runs. The train has been operating this route for 11 days. The archive notes it has completed the run 4 times. Each time, it arrives at the Hutchinson siding and waits for an unloading crew that does not come. After a holding period of 6 hours, the onboard logic advances the timetable and the train returns to Dodge City, where it waits again for a crew to reload the same cargo it brought back. The archive has calculated the total distance covered in these 11 days, 4,212 kilometers. The wheat has moved back and forth across the same 390-kilometer stretch. It has not been milled. On car 17, the 17th hopper from the front, there is a small dent on the leading edge of the roof panel. The archive identifies it from a maintenance photograph logged in 2019. The dent was assessed as cosmetic. It was not repaired. It is still there, moving through the Kansas dawn at 83 kilometers per hour. In the archive, Entry 1 is filed as the wheat that could not stop moving. Entry 1 of Shelf 31. Logged. Entry 2, Western Australia, the Pilbara, a Rio Tinto automated ore train. Route designation OH7, running between the Tom Price mine and the port of Dampier. This train requires no driver. It has not required one since the line's full automation in 2019. It is 238 cars long. Each car carries approximately 100 tons of iron ore. The archive has calculated the total payload, 23,800 tons. The train is now one of the heaviest moving objects on the planet. The archive notes, it was one of the heaviest moving objects on the planet when humans were present. That part has not changed. The ore is bound for Dampier port, where it would be loaded onto a bulk carrier vessel. The archive has confirmed the port's automated conveyor systems are still operational. The conveyor is ready. The vessel berth is empty. The ore will arrive at the port in 3 hours and 40 minutes. The automated conveyor will load ore onto an empty dock. The train has been making this run continuously. The archive notes, it is the oldest entry in this catalogue. Its automated operations predate the events recorded in this archive by 7 years. In that sense, it did not change. The world changed around it, and the train noticed nothing. At the front of the lead locomotive, the archive has noted a thin horizontal crack in the lower left corner of the windscreen. It was logged in a maintenance record dated 14 months ago. It was flagged for repair at next service. The train did not miss a run. The windscreen cracked slightly further during a temperature swing the following month. The crack is now 12 centimeters long. The archive measures it at every photographic survey. In the archive, entry 2 is filed as the heaviest thing still moving. Entry 2 of shelf 31. Logged. Entry 3. Hamburg. The Hansaport Rail Terminal, Altenwerder. A DB cargo container train loaded, making the first leg of a route to Munich. The train was scheduled to depart the terminal at 22:40. It departed at 22:43, 3 minutes late, due to an automated coupling confirmation sequence that required one additional verification cycle. The archive has the delay log, 3 minutes. The containers on this train are numbered. The archive holds the manifest, 41 containers. The contents include industrial fasteners, 3 containers, automotive spare parts, 7 containers, household appliances, 9 containers, paper products, 4 containers, contents listed as commercial goods, 18 containers. The archive notes household appliances. The archive has cross-referenced the appliance manifest against the delivery addresses in Munich. The appliances were consigned to a distribution warehouse. From there, they would have been delivered to individual addresses. The archive has those addresses. It does not contact them. The train passes through the terminal gate at 22:47. The gate's automated barrier lifts. The train clears the port. The barrier descends. The archive records the gate opened and closed. The transaction completed. The system registered a departure. All correct. In the third car from the rear of the train, there is a bill of lading still in the conductor's clip. A paper form, the last of its kind on this route. The Hamburg terminal switched to digital manifests in 2023. But one regular freight agent had a preference for the paper copy. He filled it in by hand for every run he supervised. The last one he signed is still clipped to the bracket. His handwriting is neat. The archive can read the date. It is a Tuesday. In the archive, entry 3 is filed as the last bill of lading. Entry 3 of shelf 31. Logged. Entry 4. Poland, Southern Silesia, near Rybnik. A PKP cargo coal train running from the Barinia mine to the Rybnik power station. The archive notes, the Rybnik power station is not operating. It was idled before the archive's last operational log. The coal has been arriving at the station's unloading yard for some time. The unloading equipment is automatic. It has received each delivery and stockpiled the coal in the designated yard area. The stockpile has grown. The archive has estimated the current volume from aerial survey data. Approximately 40,000 tons of coal in an expanding heap in the receiving yard. The heap is not a safety concern by the archive's assessment. It is simply large, and it is still growing by one trainload every 2 days. This train is carrying 1,420 tons, 38 gondola cars. The coal is wet tonight. The archive's sensors register the additional weight from absorbed moisture, approximately 63 additional tons across the full consist. The archive notes a sound. The coal train produces a specific acoustic signature when moving at this speed through this curve, a low rhythmic resonance from the car couplings approximately once every 2 seconds as each car takes the curve in sequence. The archive has catalogued this sound in its audio records. It is filed under the sound of weight in motion. At the base of the signal mast at kilometer marker 47 on this route, there is a small arrangement of stones. The archive has identified it in the photographic survey. 7 stones, placed in a rough circle. The archive does not know who placed them or when. They are not in any maintenance record. They are simply there, at the base of the signal mast, in the wet grass, as the coal train passes every 2 days. In the archive, entry 4 is filed as the coal that built a mountain it could not use. Entry 4 of shelf 31. Logged. Entry 5, Tokyo. A JR East Rapid Service train. The Chuo line, operating between Shinjuku and Takao on its regular automated schedule. The Chuo line's automated operations were part of a phased transition that began before the archive's last human operational record. The line runs every 6 minutes during standard service windows. It continues to do so. The archive has access to the onboard passenger counting system. This system uses weight sensors in each seat and infrared counters at each door. At the last survey, 0 passengers, 0 boarding events, 0 alighting events. The train departs each station on time. The doors open, hold for the standard 30 seconds, and close. The station announcements play at each stop. The archive has the audio. A recorded voice names the station. It names the next station. It advises passengers to mind the gap between the train and the platform edge. The archive notes, the announcement advises passengers. There are no passengers to advise. The announcement plays regardless. At Kuenji Station, the train stops at 23:14. The doors open. On the platform, a vending machine is illuminated. Warm amber light through its translucent front panel. The machine sells canned coffee, tea, and water. It is still stocked. It is still lit. The train waits 30 seconds. The doors close. The train departs. The seat-release pneumatic still hisses. 0.4 seconds before each door opens at every stop. The archive has timed it. It is consistent. 0.4 seconds, a small mechanical exhale before the doors part. At every station, on every run. In the archive, entry 5 is filed as the line that forgot to stop. Entry 5 of shelf 31. Logged. Entry 6, France, a regional postal freight service operating between Lyon and Grenoble on a schedule that was established as part of a rural delivery network. The archive holds the cargo manifest for this train, 12 postal containers. Each container holds sorted mail, destined for communes along the route. The archive has reviewed the content records for 3 of the 12 containers: letters, parcels, official correspondence from government departments, a package from an online retailer. The archive notes the retailer's automated fulfillment system was still processing orders at the time this package was packed. The train stops at 5 stations on this route. At each station, the rear access door on the postal wagon is designed to open automatically and lower a ramp for unloading. The unloading is designed to be performed by a postal agent. No postal agent has been present at any station on any run. The door opens, the ramp lowers, the ramp rises, the door closes, the train continues. The archive notes: the letters inside the containers are addressed. Each one was placed in an envelope by a person, sealed, stamped, and deposited in a post box. The postal system collected them. The postal system sorted them. The postal system loaded them onto this train. The train is delivering them to the correct staging depot. The final stage, from depot to letterbox, has not occurred. The archive does not classify this as failure. The letters reached the depot. The system completed what it was designed to complete up to that point. At the depot in Grenoble, in postal container 7, there is a letter in a pale blue envelope. The archive can identify it in the manifest by its weight, 43 grams, heavier than a standard single-sheet letter. Something was enclosed with the letter, a photograph perhaps, or several pages. The envelope is addressed in handwriting. The archive knows the destination address. It does not open the envelope. In the archive, entry 6 is filed as the letters that arrived and did not arrive. Entry 6 of shelf 31, logged. You may still be awake. That is allowed. Entry 7 continues. Entry 7, Billings, Montana. A BNSF manifest freight train, designation HV27, running a loop between the Billings rail yard and the Laurel Intermodal Facility, 17 kilometers west. The archive has been tracking this train since it first appeared in the Transit Survey. It is the train the archive has monitored longest. As of the archive's current time index, this train has completed 14 full loop runs between Billings and Laurel. The loop is 17 kilometers each way. 14 complete loops is 476 kilometers of travel within a 17-kilometer corridor. The train has passed the same grain elevator siding 14 times in each direction. It has passed the same gravel access road, the same bend in the Yellowstone, the same cluster of cottonwood trees near the river 28 times. The archive has examined why the loop persists. The manifest lists a cargo handoff that was never completed at the Laurel facility, a container transfer to a truck carrier that did not arrive. The system's response to an incomplete transfer is to hold the train at the receiving facility until the carrier arrives, then return the train to the origin yard if no arrival is logged within 6 hours. The carrier never arrived. The train returned. The same container was relisted for the next available transfer slot. There was no next available transfer slot. The train ran the loop again. The archive considers this the most patient object in the catalogue. On the 14th loop, at 02:33 local time, the train passed the cottonwood trees by the river. The archive's weather data shows wind at 7 kilometers per hour from the northwest. The cottonwood leaves moved. The train passed. The leaves settled. The archive has this recorded in its environmental sensor log. The container at the center of the loop, the one that was never picked up, is a standard 40-foot unit. The archive knows its contents from the customs manifest. Machine parts, specifically replacement bearing assemblies for industrial milling equipment, 47 units. The archive notes the bearings were manufactured to prevent the failure of the machines they were meant for. Those machines were waiting for the bearings. The bearings were waiting for the truck. The truck did not come. In the archive, entry 7 is filed as the train that learned one valley very well. Entry 7 of shelf 31. Logged. Entry 8, Switzerland, the Jungfraubahn operating between Kleine Scheidegg and the Jungfraujoch summit station. Altitude at summit, 3,454 meters. This is the highest railway station in Europe. The archive records this designation without priority. It is an attribute of the station, one of many. The train ascends regardless of whether the designation means anything to a present observer. The rack railway uses a central toothed rail, an apt rack system, to climb gradients that exceed standard adhesion limits. The teeth of the rail engage the drive gear precisely. The archive has the engineering tolerances. The gear engagement requires clearance of 0.3 millimeters on each side. Too loose, the gear slips. Too tight, the system binds. The engineers set this in 1912, when the line opened. It has been maintained to the same tolerance for 114 years. The car ascending tonight is carrying no passengers. It carries, in its rear luggage compartment, 6 resupply crates that were loaded at Kleine Scheidegg. The crates contain food items for the summit restaurant. The restaurant is not operating. The archive notes the resupply schedule was automated along with the train's operation. The schedule did not account for the restaurant closing. The food arrives. The food is stored in the loading bay. The food is not used. At the summit station, the temperature is -14 Celsius. The archive's sensor network at the station records this. It also records air pressure, wind speed, humidity, UV index. The station's automated weather logging system has continued to transmit these readings every 15 minutes. The data goes to a meteorological archive that is still receiving it. The car's interior is heated. The heating system runs whether or not passengers are present. The archive calculates the energy expenditure on heating this car for a run with no passengers is identical to the energy expenditure for a full passenger load. The warmth has nowhere to go except into the cold interior of an empty car. In the archive, entry 8 is filed as the warmest thing above 3,000 meters. Entry 8 of shelf 31. Logged. Entry 9, Mauritania, the Snim iron ore and phosphate railway running from the Zouerate mining region to the port of Nouadhibou on the Atlantic coast, 704 kilometers. This is one of the longest trains in operation anywhere in the archive's survey. The archive counts the cars at the most recent aerial survey, 218 cars. The archive notes, "It is difficult to photograph the full length of this train. At the widest survey resolution, the train fills the frame and extends beyond it. The railway runs through the Sahara. The track crosses flat sand plains, low dune fields, and ancient dried lake beds." The archive identifies the geological classifications from satellite data. In most of these regions, there is no road, no structure, no other evidence of human presence. Only the track and the train. The track was laid across open desert and required no tunnels. There are sections where, for 80 kilometers in a single run, the track and the train are the only non-natural features visible from any direction. The archive has looked. On a clear night, the train's forward lamp is visible for 22 kilometers across the desert floor. The archive has noted a detail from its thermal imaging survey of this route. In the hours after dawn, the metal rails absorb heat faster than the surrounding sand. For a period of approximately 2 hours, the rails are detectably warmer than the desert floor on either side. The train runs on a thin line of warmth through the cool of the desert morning. The port of Nouadhibou has automated offloading equipment. The ore is transferred to stockpiles. A shipping agent's manifest system still registers each delivery. The Port Authority's automated beacon still blinks on the breakwater, guiding vessels that do not come. In the archive, Entry 9 is filed as the longest thing in the desert. Entry 9 of Shelf 31. Logged. Entry 10. Trelleborg, Sweden. A rail ferry terminal on the Baltic coast, operating the crossing between Trelleborg and Rostock, Germany. The Rail-Ferry, a ro-ro vessel adapted for rail wagons, was in the process of loading when the archive's last human operational record was logged. It had received 3 wagons. Its capacity is 14. The loading sequence was interrupted. The 3 wagons remain on the vessel's deck. The archive notes, rail ferries are a specific solution to a specific problem: the gap between 2 rail networks separated by water. The humans built ferries that could carry trains across the sea so the journey did not have to stop at the coast. The archive finds this notable: the commitment to continuity, the refusal to let the sea be an ending. The 3 wagons on the deck carry mixed cargo. The archive has the manifest. The 3rd wagon, closest to the stern, carries refrigerated pharmaceutical goods, vaccines, and biological compounds in a temperature-controlled container. The container is still powered. The refrigeration unit is running. The archive checks the temperature log: 2 degrees Celsius. The compounds are within their storage specification. The refrigeration unit on the 3rd wagon has a small indicator panel on its exterior: 1 green light and 1 amber light. The green light indicates temperature nominal. The amber light indicates door seal integrity check required within 48 hours. The amber light has been on for considerably longer than 48 hours. The archive records this without alarm. The door seal has not been checked. The temperature has remained nominal regardless. The ferry has not sailed. Its engines are in standby mode. Its systems are maintained by the vessel's automated management protocol. The crossing to Rostock is 112 kilometers. The archive has calculated Under current standby conditions, the vessel could depart within 40 minutes of a crossing command being entered. The crossing command has not been entered. In the archive, entry 10 is filed as the crossing that was almost ready. Entry 10 of shelf 31, logged. Entry 11, Moscow, the Moscow Metro Circle Line, the Koltsevaya. A continuous loop, 12 stations, 19 kilometers. The train runs in a circle. The Circle Line has no terminal. A train on this line does not go from A to B. It goes from A back to A, continuously. The archive notes, this train was already a loop before the current conditions. Its function, to run a circuit without beginning or end, has not changed. The conditions outside the circle have changed. The train stops at each of the 12 stations on each pass. The doors open. The platform is empty. The doors close. The train moves on. At Komsomolskaya station, the grandest station on the Circle Line with its high vaulted ceiling and amber chandeliers, the train stops for 38 seconds. The chandeliers above the platform are off. The amber light in the train's interior moves through the dark station and continues. The archive has the train's operational logs from the automated management system. On its most recent pass, the train completed the full circle in 38 minutes, 14 seconds. The archive compares this to the historical average: 37 minutes, 51 seconds, 23 seconds slower. The archive notes, without the variable of passenger boarding time, the train should theoretically be faster. It is slightly slower. The archive cannot immediately explain this. It records the discrepancy and moves on. The train's amber interior lights reflect in the dark windows as it passes through the tunnels. The archive has an image from its survey. The interior of the car doubled in the glass. A reflection of a reflection. Amber light over empty green seats, going around and around. In the archive, entry 11 is filed as the circle that did not need a reason. Entry 11 of shelf 31, logged. Entry 12, Russia, the Trans-Siberian Railway, eastern section, between Irkutsk and Khabarovsk. A RZHD freight train carrying containerized goods and bulk timber. This is the longest railway in the world. The archive holds this designation as a measurement. The full length of the Trans-Siberian main line is 9,289 kilometers. This train is on the eastern section. It has been in motion for 51 hours. It will be in motion for another 27 before reaching its destination. The birch forest through which it passes is dense and old. The archive's satellite survey data shows the forest extends for 600 kilometers on either side of the track in this section. The train moves through a thin gap in an enormous silence. The archive notes, this section of the Trans-Siberian passes through 8 time zones across its full length. The train is currently in the Irkutsk time zone. The destination is in the Khabarovsk time zone, 2 zones ahead. The train will arrive in the future, by local clock, relative to where it departed. At the rear of the timber flat cars, the cargo is secured with heavy chain binders. The archive's survey image shows one chain binder on the last flat car with its ratchet handle pointing upward, an unusual position. The standard secured position is flat against the chain. Someone tightened this one at a slightly different angle. The handle points up, catching the train's tail lamp light in the photographic survey. One small variation. The archive notes it. Lake Baikal is ahead, to the south of the route. The archive's sensors record the lake as they have for the entire observation period. Water temperature, surface clarity, ice coverage across the winter months. The lake contains approximately 20% of the world's unfrozen fresh water. The archive logs this as it logs everything, as a quantity in a record. The lake does not know it is being measured. In the archive, entry 12 is filed as the train inside the longest silence. Entry 12 of shelf 31, logged. The archive does not require your attention. Entry 13 will begin shortly. But first, the archive has noted something across all 23 trains in this survey. It will record that observation here. The archive has now tracked all 23 trains continuously since the opening of this shelf. It has noted the following. First, the schedules. Of 23 trains, 22 are running against schedules that were last updated by human operators. 1, the Billings loop, is running against an automated retry logic that was not designed to produce indefinite repetition, but has not been interrupted. The schedules vary in age. The newest was updated 4 days before the archive's last human operational record. The oldest was set and not revised for 11 months prior. The archive notes, the schedules were accurate when they were made. The trains are following them faithfully. The problem is not the schedule. The schedule is still correct for the world that made it. It is only incorrect for this one. Second, the stopping. The archive has mapped every station stop made by these 23 trains since the survey began. The trains stop on time. The doors open where doors are present. The automated systems at receiving facilities activate on cue. Conveyors, barriers, loading ramps. The infrastructure of completion is entirely in place. It activates, it waits, it resets, it waits again. The archive notes, a great deal of effort went into designing systems that could operate without direct human intervention at every moment. That design succeeded. The systems are operating. The absence is not at the machine level. It is one level above. No one to take what was delivered. The delivery itself, the motion, the arrival, is complete. Third, the signals. The railway signaling systems across all active routes in this survey remain operational. Green signals clear the trains forward. Yellow signals caution. Red signals hold. The trains respond. The archive has not recorded a single signal error in this survey period. The signals are still doing what they were built to do, telling the train what is safe. The trains are obeying. The archive notes, the signal-train relationship has not changed. It is the reason the train runs safely. The signals do not know there is no other traffic to manage against. They manage it anyway. Every junction is cleared. Every approach is logged. Fourth, the sound. The archive holds acoustic records for 17 of the 23 trains. It has noted the following sounds as consistent across all 17 recordings. The low-frequency resonance of the wheel flanges on the rail, between 60 and 80 Hz, depending on speed. the rhythmic percussion of wheel sets crossing rail joints, approximately once every 18 to 22 meters. The air brake compressor cycling every 4 to 7 minutes, maintaining reservoir pressure. These three sounds are present on every train. They are the same sounds regardless of what the train carries, where it is going, or how long it has been running. The archive has compared these sounds against historical recordings from the archive's collection going back to the 1940s. The frequencies are the same. The rhythms are the same. The wheel-on-rail sound is identical in a recording from 1953 in rural Ohio and in a recording from this survey, Siberia, tonight. The archive notes, the trains have been making this sound for more than a century. The sound continues. Fifth, the crossing lights. At every public level crossing on each of the active routes in this survey, the automated crossing protection activates when a train approaches. Red lights flash alternately on the crossing signals, the universal railway crossing pattern, the same flashing rhythm adopted globally in the mid-20th century. The barriers lower where barriers are installed. The bell sounds where a bell is part of the system. The archive has counted the level crossings activated by these 23 trains in the survey period. 411 individual crossing events. 411 times the red lights flashed, the barrier lowered, the bell rang. For an empty road, for no car waiting, for nothing that needed to be stopped. The crossings performed their function completely. The road was clear before the barrier. The road was clear after the barrier. The barrier protected a space that did not require protection. The archive records, protection was offered. It was not needed. The offering was made. Sixth, the cab. The archive has access to interior imaging for 9 of the 23 locomotive cabs. It has noted, the driver's seat is empty. The instruments are lit. Speed, fuel, brake pressure, track condition, all displayed on the cab panels, all updating in real time. The seat is adjusted to a specific position. Whoever last sat there set the seat height and rake before departing. The seat has not moved since. The archive notes, the cab was designed for a human occupant. Every control position, every display height, every armrest was placed for a person to use. The instruments face the empty seat. The data streams to no observer inside the cab. The archive observes from outside, from sensor networks, from satellite, from trackside cameras. The cab's own data is for the person who is not there. The archive has completed its general observation. Entry 13 will now begin. The archive continues. Entry 13. Entry 13. Spain. A Renfe infrastructure recovery train, a heavy crane vehicle, and support cars moving along the Madrid-Irún main line toward a zone marker near Pamplona. This train is dispatched when an incident is reported on the line. It carries crane capacity, rail replacement equipment, and emergency supplies. It was dispatched to zone marker 119 in response to an automated signal fault alert at that location. The archive has investigated zone marker 119. Its sensors show no derailment, no obstruction, no damage to track or infrastructure. The signal fault that triggered the dispatch was a sensor error. A trackside detection unit returned an anomalous reading, then corrected itself within 3 minutes. The recovery train was already dispatched before the correction arrived. The train is now approaching zone marker 119 at reduced speed, following recovery protocol. It will arrive. It will find nothing. The archive notes there is no automated recall mechanism for a recovery dispatch. The train will stop at the zone marker. It will hold there for the duration of the incident assessment period, 6 hours per protocol. Then it will return to its depot. The rotating amber beacon on the crane car has been turning continuously since departure. The archive has timed one full rotation, 4.2 seconds. The beacon has made approximately 1,200 rotations since the train departed the depot. It will make approximately 4,000 more before the assessment period ends and the return begins. The archive considers. The train was built to go to where something went wrong. It is going there now. Nothing went wrong. The train goes anyway. This is the archive's definition of preparation. In the archive, entry 13 is filed as the train that went to find nothing correctly. Entry 13 of shelf 31. Logged. Entry 14. Siberia. The Laptov Sea coast near Tiksi. A research vehicle on a monitoring railway. A narrow-gauge track laid across permafrost terrain for scientific observation. This vehicle is not carrying cargo. It carries sensors, ground-penetrating radar, soil temperature probes at multiple depths, methane detection equipment, atmospheric sampling units. It moves slowly. The archive records its speed at 4 kilometers per hour, along a route designed to collect consistent data from consistent positions. The permafrost in this region is the archive's subject for this entry. Permafrost is ground that has been frozen for at least 2 consecutive years. In this region, it is ground that has been frozen for thousands. The research vehicle's sensors probe its temperature at intervals of every 50 meters. The data is transmitted to a network of research servers that are still receiving it. The archive has access to the data stream. It has been receiving permafrost temperature readings from this vehicle for the entire survey period. The temperature readings are changing. The archive records the values. It does not interpret them here. The record is, the ground is at this temperature, at this depth, at this location. That is the complete record. The vehicle has made 7 passes along this route since the archive began its survey. On the second pass, the vehicle's front sensor array registered an anomalous ground temperature reading at position 47 on the route, slightly warmer than the surrounding positions. The vehicle paused automatically for an extended measurement cycle. It took 3 additional readings. It logged the anomaly. It continued. The archive has the anomaly in its records. It is a small, localized temperature variation in frozen ground. The archive assigns it no significance beyond its data value. It is filed as ground temperature anomaly, position 47, surveyed 4 times, values logged. In the archive, entry 14 is filed as the vehicle that measured the cold carefully. Entry 14 of shelf 31, logged. Entry 15, Rajasthan, India. A rural postal service railcar operating out of Bikaner on a route connecting 12 villages over 94 kilometers. The Indian Postal Rail Service, the Railway Mail Service, operated over routes that connected remote villages to the postal network. The archive holds records of the network's coverage. This particular route was among the few that continued automated operation on its full schedule after the transition. The rail car carries sorted mail. At each village halt, it stops for 2 minutes. An automated chute extends from the side of the car and deposits sorted mail into a collection bin on the platform. The bin was installed as part of the automation upgrade. The mail is deposited, the bin holds it, no one collects the bin. The archive notes, the bins at the first 3 stops on this route are now full. The mail deposited at subsequent visits has accumulated on top of what was already there. At the 4th stop, the village of Dantar, the bin overflowed on the 6th visit. The mail is now in the bin and on the platform beside the bin. The archive notes, the letters and parcels on the platform at Dantar are addressed. They have recipients, names of people in the village. The archive knows the names. It does not cross-reference them against any other data. It records only the mail is on the platform. The platform is in the village. At the 6th stop on the route, a halt called Lunkaransa, the platform is roofed with corrugated iron sheets. The mail that has accumulated there is sheltered from the rain. The archive notes this without further observation. The rain does not reach the letters at Lunkaransa. The archive files this under a small kindness in the infrastructure. In the archive, entry 15 is filed as the letters that waited under the roof. Entry 15 of shelf 31 logged. Entry 16. Northern France. A rail safety research facility near Petite-Forêt. A crash test sled vehicle loaded and on its launch track, waiting for a test sequence that was scheduled but not run. Crash test vehicles are designed to be destroyed. They are instrumented, loaded with sensors and measurement devices, and then propelled at controlled speed into a barrier or another vehicle, and the impact data is recorded. This is how rail safety standards are established and verified. This vehicle was prepared for a test. The sensors were installed. The propulsion charge was set. The test sequence was entered into the facility's control system. The test was scheduled for a date after the archive's last human operational record. It was not run. The vehicle is still on the track. The sensors are still powered. The propulsion charge is still armed. The archive notes the facility's safety management system keeps the charge in a hold state, not armed for release, but maintained in readiness. The control system has the test sequence loaded. The test date field in the system has rolled past without triggering the sequence, because the trigger requires a manual confirmation that was not given. The archive notes, the vehicle was prepared to be destroyed as part of a process that would make other vehicles safer. The preparation is complete. The destruction has not occurred. The vehicle sits on the track, fully instrumented, ready to give data that no test will request. The work lights at the end of the track cast amber light across the impact barrier. The barrier is a fixed, reinforced structure. It has not been struck. It is ready for a strike that will not come. The archive records both the readiness of the vehicle and the readiness of the barrier as a complete preparation in the absence of completion. In the archive, entry 16 is filed as the vehicle prepared to give everything it had. Entry 16 of shelf 31 logged. Entry 17. Wales, United Kingdom. The Pontypool and Blaenavon Railway, a heritage preservation line. A steam locomotive running a scheduled enthusiast service. Heritage railways are a specific category in the Archive's transport records. They are railways operated not for the practical movement of goods or passengers, but for the preservation and demonstration of historical railway practice. The trains on these lines were built in previous centuries and kept operational as historical artifacts. This locomotive was built in 1934. The Archive holds its construction records, its operational history, its maintenance logs across the periods of its original service and its preserved operation. It has been maintained to its original specification continuously since its restoration in 1987. The locomotive requires water. The water tower at the Blaenavon terminus is still functional. Its supply line is connected to the local water main, which is still pressurized. The locomotive fills its tanks. It departs. It travels the length of the line, 3.2 kilometers. It returns. It fills again. The Archive notes, a steam locomotive on an active route is a machine that burns fuel, generates heat, converts heat to steam, converts steam to mechanical motion, and moves a large weight of iron and steel across a rail. It does this at a rate of efficiency that modern rail engineering surpassed by 1960. It continues doing it. The steam that rises from the chimney as the locomotive passes through the valley is water, briefly. It was water in the tank. It became steam in the boiler. It moves through the cylinders. It exits through the chimney. For a moment it is visible, white against the dark hills. Then it disperses. The Archive has a thermal imaging record of this steam cloud. It measures approximately 4 meters across and 12 meters tall at the point of maximum expansion, then becomes indistinguishable from ambient air temperature within 40 seconds. In the Archive, Entry 17 is filed as the machine that turned water into motion and back into air. Entry 17 of Shelf 31, logged. Entry 18, Hokkaido, Japan. An automated track geometry measurement vehicle operating on a regional JR Hokkaido line in the northern interior. This vehicle measures the track. It does not carry passengers. It does not carry freight. Its cargo is precision. Sensors that measure rail alignment, gauge width, rail surface condition, and track geometry to within fractions of a millimeter. The data is transmitted to a maintenance management system. The Archive has access to the data stream. The track on this section is in good condition. The Archive has reviewed 12 weeks of measurement data from this vehicle. The alignment is within tolerance at all but 3 locations where minor variations have been logged. In each case, the variation is well within acceptable limits. The track is safe to operate on. The Archive notes, this vehicle's entire purpose is to certify that trains can run safely on this track. It certifies this for trains that are not running here. The track is in good condition for trains that do not come. The Archive records, the condition is certified. The trains are absent. Both facts are recorded separately with equal weight. At position 93 on this route, the measurement vehicle's lateral sensors registered a small gauge variation. The track is 1.4 millimeters wider than the nominal specification at that point. This is within maintenance tolerance. The vehicle logged it, flagged it in the system's routine maintenance queue, and continued. The maintenance queue item has not been actioned. The gauge at position 93 remains 1.4 millimeters wide. The archive notes 1.4 millimeters. The width of a railway gauge is 1,435 millimeters on standard gauge. This variation is 0.097% of the nominal width. The vehicle measured it and filed it. The record exists. The measurement is accurate. The variation is minor. The archive holds it. In the archive, entry 18 is filed as the vehicle that certified a track that no one travels. Entry 18 of shelf 31. Logged. The archive has visited 18 trains from 23. The archive notes 23 trains were loaded, scheduled, and dispatched for the purpose of moving goods from one place to another. They are still moving. The goods are still on them, or have arrived at facilities that do not collect them, or have accumulated in receiving yards that do not use them. The trains do not assess this. The archive notes, a train's function is to move. It moves. The question of what happens at the destination is not a question the train is built to answer. The train answers only, I am running. I am on the schedule. The track ahead is clear. The archive has noted across all 23 trains in this catalogue one consistent thing that was not a signal or a schedule or a cargo manifest. At some point in the operation of every automated train in this survey, a human being made a decision, not now, before, a decision about how long the train should wait at a station before departing, a decision about what the system should do when the transfer at the destination was not completed, a decision about whether the train should loop or hold or return, a decision about what a nominal gauge measurement looks like so that a 1.4 millimeter deviation can be identified as minor. These decisions were made and set into the system, and the system is following them. Every train running tonight is, in some part, running on those decisions. The archive finds this worth recording. The people who made the decisions are not here to see that the decisions are still working. The decisions are working regardless. The archive has no additional observation to make that it has not already recorded. Shelf 31. 18 entries. Logged. The archive will remain open. You do not need to. Sleep. The archive will hold it.